Good morning to you. This is Sunrise.
We'll be getting stuck into the debate of the day. How has Theresa May coped over the past week?
First for you, though, in the wake of the Grenfell Tower fire and the evacuation of 4 high-rise buildings in Camden, councils have been accused, as we've heard quite vocally from a lot of the residents, of not making things clear enough, not stepping in to help quickly enough. Let's talk to Public Relations Specialist Andrew Teacher, who's here. It has raised some very big questions here, hasn't it? I mean, particularly with Grenfell, as to how people were being dealt with, what information was being passed to them. Why have things gone so wrong? Is it just that everyone was caught unawares, that this was just something nobody was prepared for?
That seems to be the case. I think the main thing that we should have seen here is a much quicker and more decisive response from the Prime Minister. We should have seen Cobra convene, as was the case with the floods, as has been the case with all sorts of disasters over the years, back to the miners' strikes in the 70s. And that would mean that councils would not have to deal with this themselves. Local councils aren't equipped to deal with major crises like this. They should have better plans in place. The communication should be better, but they need support, and that's what we haven't seen so far.
I mean, what I don't understand is how have these tower blocks, there's so many up and down the country, how have they been allowed to have this cladding on them for all this time and it's not safe? Well,
I think this is a question for successive governments because, I mean, these things would have had to, at some point, have complied with building regs. They would have had to have had somebody with a clipboard gone along, tick it off and say it's safe. We obviously saw the Chancellor last week tell Andrew Marr that the cladding on Grenfell was not safe and not legal under current rules, but that seemed a little bit preemptive of studies that were being done on the building. But regardless of all that, I think safety does have to come first, and it's important, though, that we deal with people properly, that we're communicating properly with people, and that we're really sensitive to the situations these are in. And it's not just a case of shuffling dominoes around. These are human beings with families, with jobs, with relatives, and I think we're just doing a terrible job at the minute supporting them. But
I don't quite get what you said earlier on when you said, you know, local councils aren't prepared for this. You know, they need to be backed up. Well, these are local government issues. And it is local government.
Well, no, this is a national crisis. Let's be clear. When we've got 600 buildings across the country,
it's not in the sense of when these are happening in different local authority areas, and it's those local authorities who then have to step in and say, we need to get you out and we need to rehouse you, and that's all their responsibility. Now, they're getting support from from central government, but these are local government issues. They need to be across this.
But this is a special situation. These won't be costs that have been budgeted for. These won't be things that happen on a daily basis. I think we've seen in the papers today Sajid Javid, the Community Secretary, saying that councils will get support. But what I think we need to be doing, and you guys need to be challenging ministers on this, is getting an unequivocal commitment that central government will pay for this, because...
Well, they've already said that. They've already said that.
Have they said they'll support it, or have they said they will actually pay for it? Because the two aren't the same.
No, they've basically said they're going to pay for it, haven't they?
Well,
because there's no way otherwise. It's going to cost Camden Council £500,000 in hotel fees, which, you know, they just won't have spare in the budget.
Yeah. I mean, look, I agree with you. The councils have done a shocking job dealing with this, and to be telling people in the evening, as has been reported, is not the way to do it. But ultimately, we have to trust in fire experts through this process. And to some degree, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Because if we were to see a repeat situation, you know, when the first Malaysia Airlines flight disappeared a few years back, people thought, oh, well, that will never happen again. But it did, you know, not long after. And I think we just need to be aware that if there are serious issues with these buildings, they need to be dealt with. But look, what we're seeing here, this is the manifestation of growing anger over decades, over inequality that's largely been precipitated by housing being made political. We've had housing used to buy votes effectively for decades, from right to buy through to help to buy. And the result of that has been growing inequality in our society. And these tower blocks that often are social housing residences, these are the icons of this unfairness, of this disparity between rich and poor. And somewhere like Camden, much like Kensington, is got these extremes of extreme poverty and extreme wealth, literally
Okay.
side by side each other. And I think what we need to do is take housing out of politics and deal with things across the board in a cross-party situation.
Okay, Andrew, you've got to leave it there. Thank you.